Hey, Walt here with the Schultz team at Canopy Mortgage. I've got Jesse with us here, who is the National Sales Director of My Credit Guy. So My Credit Guy is mycreditguy.com is a service, the only mortgage or the only company, credit repair company that we highly endorse. I've seen credit repair companies over the years and have not endorsed any of them. What I love about mycreditguy.com is they take care of our clients, they support our clients, and they do it honestly. So Jesse, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me, Walt.
So I've been hearing a little bit about some changes in credit, really how credit reports are going to be ran here, which, it's going to be a couple of years really before these things come into play. But now's the time that you want to start creating those disciplines for that time period. So share with us a little bit about, what's going on between the FICO and the Vantage score and how credit reporting is going to be ran here coming up.
Yeah, so this is actually specific to mortgage, right? So for now over 20 plus years, the same scoring models have been used to assess 3 scores that you run a mortgage, right? So Walton, you know this, you get 3 credit scores and then you work off the middle score, right? So that mid score, all of those scores are based off of a grading system, so to speak, right? Maybe that's a little easier to understand, but the fancy word for it is algorithm, right? And the model. And so what's changing is that, as you can imagine, with just people and the behaviors and technology that of course has changed in the last 20 to 25 years, what they've done is they set out, and this has been a while, they've set out to create credit scoring models that are more inclusive, right? And so really with that specific subject, one of the major changes is that for the longest time, if you rented a house or rented an apartment and paid your bill on time every single month, even though that's really truly a reflection of positive credit history, it was never reporting to your credit report unless in fact you neglected it and it went derogatory, right? So we'll see things like rental history, cell phone bills, utility bills when they go default, right? So the negative could affect you, but never the positive influence on when you pay those things on time consistently every single month. And that's really one of the biggest changes that we're going to see take place.
So now we're going to start to see rental history on the credit report, which we've always been able to see where they've lived for the last 10 plus years.
Yep.
So, but now rental history is going to be reported.
Yeah, in a positive fashion. Now this is what's very important, right? So if you're paying your rent on time, right, and that can be verified, that's positive. So what's important here is that this will allow for us to offset potentially some of the negative if you had some trouble in the past. But really, what we have to remember with all these changes is the fundamentals of good credit really don't change. Don't overspend because you want to be able to make sure you make your payments on time every month and consistently in all of these categories. This is just giving you another opportunity to show that.
So now just rental history, it's only going to report if it's been paid on time. If it's not paid on time, it's not going to report?
No, so let me clarify. I apologize. What I'm saying is that it's going to positively affect your situation and your score if it's good, right? It's going to report. So if you're missing rental payments, it's going to be the same as missing credit card payments, right? So, and that kind of goes to your point that you brought up earlier, is that even though these credit scoring algorithms are not going to come out for what we're expecting to be a couple years, the other changes are their trended models. They're really going to be looking at the last 24 to 36 months of like a trend of consistency, which means that our behaviors that we have today will affect those new models in the future.
Now that brings up another good point, because you're saying not only rental history, but you're also talking about utilities and cell phones, right?
Yeah.
So that means my water bill is going to be on my credit report. As long as I'm paying it on time every month, then awesome. If I'm not paying it on time, then I'm going to be hit. So
yeah. Now
let's talk about on time. I mean, is it the same type of reporting history like a credit card or another? It's due on the 5th of every month. I pay it on the 5th. I get good credit reporting. I pay it on the 6th. I'm okay. I'm late, but I'm still okay. My score may drop a little bit. I paid on the 25th, my score is going to drop a little more because they're not going to report as favorable for me.
So with anything as it relates to payment time, excuse me, late means 30 days late, right? So if you don't make any payment, the payment you're responsible for in that cycle, right? It'll go to the next month, and then that actually is a late payment. So really what we're looking at is if you pay it on time or before it's on time, the payment time, that's good.
Yep.
It's great, excuse me. If you pay it after, the negative effect that you experience is you're paying a late payment associated with that bill, but it won't necessarily show as a late 30-day late on your credit report. Not until you go through that full cycle will it report negative.
Yeah. Well, this could be huge for potential buyers, as long as you're making payments on time.
Correct.
But this could be a huge hurt for some buyers, because they may not think of utility payments or their cell phone bill, and it might be late. That's something that we have never looked at in the mortgage industry ever, has been utility payments. It doesn't report on the credit report, and so we really don't care.
Well, so I mean, there's been a lot of differing opinions on if this will truly help those that we've set out to support
Yep.
in the end. Because again, now really you have to be more responsible,
Exactly.
right? Across the board in order for you to be showing good credit history.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly the case that I was making, is you have to be on top of it. I mean, on all your bills, period, no
Everything.
matter what. And you've got to make all your payments on time. I mean, all the time. And I can see this really hurting a lot of people, probably more so than helping, because if you're on top of it, typically you're going to make your payments on time all the time anyway, right? So it's not really going to affect those individuals. But you're struggling, especially in this day and time right now, you're struggling a little bit. We know that in a recession, in a recessionary market, it's costing families right now about $500 more a month to live. We know that, I get notices from PGE and from the water company saying, hey, if you're having trouble making your payment, let's do a payment plan, and so they send that out to everybody. So if you're on a payment plan, hopefully they'll report on time payments. So that'll be interesting to watch how they do that.
I mean, we've seen examples of that, right? Like payment plans outside of a standard payment plan. It's like, yeah, you satisfied the creditor, but it still didn't look good on your credit report, right? So there's a lot that we're gonna have to wait and see.
Yeah, that's very, very interesting. Talk to us a little bit about medical collections. So I know medical collections have been all the rage as of late. Share us a little bit about medical collections and what's going on there.
Well, maybe this is where we come in with good news, right? So last year there was an announcement that really two things fundamentally would change on medical collections. And the first one is that if you defaulted on a medical bill, that creditor now, instead of just having 6 months to report it to credit, they had to wait a full 12 months to work with you to figure out how to get that taken care of before they reported it to collections, which I think is a great thing, because if anybody's had any medical problems, the bills fly in, you don't know what they're for, they're coming from everywhere. Let's just give you some extra time before it actually affects your credit in a negative way. So that goes from 6 to 12 months. The next thing is that, and this is a shocker for a lot of people, right? The next one was, if you have a medical collection that has a $0 balance on it, that automatically got removed last year in June if it's at $0, right? So the first thing people say is, well, if it was paid off, why is it on there? And we just have to remind folks, like, if a collection's at 0, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be removed from your credit report.
Yep. So now they're being removed. So, and
They
then
are at 0. And then, the other thing is, right now it's active. We thought the original announcement was that it was going to be June 2023, right? Kind of like in that year cycle, that anything less than $500 would be removed. But it actually looks like they've changed the verbiage. They said the first half of 2023 And even further, in the last couple of weeks, we've seen TransUnion removing everything that is a medical collection that's sub 500. And there's rumors that Experian and Equifax are following very close here, hopefully in the next, could be week, 2 weeks.
Okay, well, that's good news.
Mhm.
So really anything 500 and below could be coming off the credit report.
Yeah,
Now, does that mean anything 500 and below, it's off the credit report, so it's not scored?
that's correct. That's really the big win here, is that since it's no longer on the report and visible, it's no longer going to be included in the scoring algorithm, which means that there's a lot of people here in these next couple of weeks that should see, if they have medical collections, see a bump in scores.
That's awesome. That's great. That's perfect. Well, is there anything else that you want to share with us? I've got one magic question here at the end, but is there anything else that you want to share with us on the new scoring models that are coming? I mean, I can't stress enough on there. I think really setting those disciplines in place now, being cognizant that utility rents, of course, we know, I mean, you know, we got to pay our rent on time every month, but utility bills, cell phone bills, got to make those payments on time every
Yep.
month. You know, and
If they're
because
going to end up reporting, we have to, and
Yeah.
that's what I see happening. I see Sprint, I see Verizon, I see T-Mobile, I see them now starting to batch data to the bureaus to show that trade line level detail.
Yeah. So here's my magic question for you, Jesse. All right, we have asked the bureaus, how can you get an 850 credit score? And they say, we don't know. It's a math algorithm. So
Yeah.
I'm asking the man, the myth, and the legend, Jesse, how do I get an 850 credit score?
Well, you just stay the course on all the fundamentals. And here's what I'll tell you right now. I had an 817, and I just got a notification this week that it dropped to 814, which was really just a fluctuation of, say, $250 on my credit cards. So once you get 800 plus, it's really getting those credit cards down below 7% probably, and then 3%. And then, I mean, there's pieces of it that nobody knows. And it's just like the length of payment history, the time that you've had the credit cards open, the accounts open, it's all that balance. But there's not just one clear answer. And I actually think that when we're talking about what FICO calls their highest achievers, that's the term that they use, I think that it's a floating scale. I really think that they probably just allow for a certain percentage of everybody that they have data on to hit like these top echelons of like that 825 to 850. So it's always a moving target. I think it's a ranking system. So I don't think you ever know, right? But the fundamentals of keeping your credit card balances active, but also as low as possible from a utilization standpoint, never missing a payment, not closing accounts. There's no reason to really, usually if your goal is credit score, to get it as high as possible, but you follow those things and the trend in time will allow for you to be in that 825 plus. I haven't got there yet, but pretty close.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So for our viewers, you know, how do people get in touch with you? What really does mycreditguy.com do? And how can you help our people?
Yeah, so the first thing I would say is here's how you get a hold of us: mycreditguy.com, right? So www.mycreditguy.com, or my email is Jesse, Jesse at mycreditguy.com, and I'll point you in the right direction. But really, the opportunity that you have with us is to start with a free review, right? If you have any questions on your credit, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, like we offer a free review to any of our clients that come to us. Now, if you need help, right? If you're not in a good spot and you want to work with Walt, right? But you need to get to at least a 600 plus credit score or something, we can help you create that game plan to get there. And through that consultation of that free review, that's what we do. We say, here's how we can help you. Here's how much it costs. And we're honest, right? Like we're a reflection of Walt, right? Like we would never want somebody to go back to Walt to say, that dang Jesse, he didn't treat me fair. That's not how we operate, right? We're just working in conjunction with professionals in the industry to help people get into homes.
Well, again, I highly endorse mycreditguy.com and Jesse, and they've helped several of our clients improve their credit scores, and our clients have had raving reviews. So I appreciate the time, Jesse. Thank you so much for sharing the time with us right now, for sharing with us what's coming. again, let's create that game plan that, so we're not blindsided when it does hit. Let's
For
make sure
sure.
that we're paying our rents on time, make sure we're paying our utilities on time, make sure we're paying our cell phones on time, because they are gonna start reporting. Could be in a year, could be 2 years from now, but it is gonna come. So let's watch those things. Again, Jesse, thank you so much, my friend. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Walt. Always good to be here.